Hello and welcome to all the men and women of the West. I'm Joe, here with me is my co-host Stan.
Hello and greetings.
Today we're reviewing, as the title says, the second and third episodes of Conan the Adventurer, the live action series. These two episodes were not great. The second episode introduces the Thief Queen, who could have been a good character, but it's just not a great episode. We get a bit of the Elephant Tower story, except here the spider was the elephant man's wife turned into a spider, which makes no sense. The elephant guy, whom in the original story is an alien, who is tortured almost to death horribly in the original short story, is now not an alien and was turned into an elephant guy by the one wizard. In the second episode, Conan is just not the masterful, impressive giant of a man in a way that he is in the short stories and in the novels of Conan. It's just so incomprehensible, his decisions, and so un-Conan-like. Because in the short stories, he never walks away without the hostage. And the trouble is that scales the tower, he then proceeds to try to make out with Tamira, who's teleported away. Then the wizard says, you'll never get her back. He actually goes to walk past him and just, that's it. After the guy badmouths him, sneers at him, insults him, and tells him, I'm going to bang her later. Conan's like, okay. Alex, what? And agrees to fetch a gem to save her life. No, in the short story, he would have just taken his sword and shoved it through the guy's chest cavity, with the guy probably saying, what about her? I'll take my chances, and I'm going to rescue her myself. I don't need you. As far as I'm concerned, she's safer without you alive. Conan would then race off to the other part of the tower where she is and slaughter the guards blocking the way, go rescue her, then carry her off to safety out of the castle. And then in the next story, she wouldn't appear. That's probably what would happen. Now, as a TV series, they could have her appear as a minor character. The trouble here is the very fact that Conan is willing to whimper and walk away with his tail tucked firmly between his legs. No, this is not Conan the Cimmerian. And there's also the problem with his introduction whenever he introduces himself in this show. He says, I am Conan. He does not say, I am Conan, a Cimmerian. Remember in the short stories, that's always how he introduces himself. I am Conan of Cimmeria. Or, I am Conan, a Cimmerian. On the other hand, within 2 seconds of meeting the one Thief Queen, he, has fun time with her, which is pretty funny. But that's about it. We'll rate the second episode before we get to the third episode. I'm going to say a 0 for the second episode.
Yes.
Nothing good comes of it. And it even butchers one of the best short stories in Conan history.
It's genuinely forgettable.
It actually made me hate this show. The third episode, Lair of the Beastmen, I probably would have liked it had I not seen the second episode. We see Conan temporarily enslaved. I don't like that part. I know he was a slave at one point in his life, but I don't like him being enslaved here.
Again.
Yeah. That said, he's enslaved temporarily. The Beastmen are brutish monsters who hate humanity, but we do get a bit of their point of view where to them humans seem a little brutish, which, okay, fair. No, that's interesting. Chief Beastman, however, has a certain slave girl that he really likes. She, on the other hand, is rather taken with Conan, which is pretty appropriate to the short stories. She often asks Conan a lot of questions about the outside world. Conan then leads a rebellion to free the slaves, only to free her, and weirdly lets her go without having fun time with her, which I'm not saying I want those kind of scenes, but Conan would at least get a kiss out of her before the end of the episode. Howard did not like writing those scenes, so he'd have Conan generally, it finishes with him basically kissing her and carrying her off, typically either over his shoulder or in his arms, or just basically walking off into the sunset with her, like with Valeria. Although there is once or twice where he just gets away with a kiss, such as I think Yasmina, her name is, never really sees her again until he's king. This episode not ending with him kissing the one girl is so weird. There could have been good ideas, but the problem is episode 2 taints this episode. And so it's impossible to rate this episode without thinking of that one. So I'm going to say this is a 3/4 star. It is just too campy and boring. The episode wastes too much time trying with the various sidekicks and their comedic routines, which are not interesting. The sidekicks suck in this series. I can at least say Prince Zula in the cartoon was at least a halfway decent character. No, he was. At least the supporting characters in the cartoon, you can stomach for a few scenes. From Conan's dad to his grandfather. Hey, I like his grandpa. Even his mom I didn't mind in the cartoon. And although it has that terrible Phoenix character, I'm going to say this. These 3 sidekicks are worse than the Phoenix. Although that said, the female characters in this show are at least almost Howardian. So they're what's salvaging this.
I'm finding that the Conan from the cartoon seems a lot more accurate to the Conan in the stories.
I don't know. My problem with him is that he's not killing. And I know people should say, well, what, you want this show to be the cartoon to be covered in blood? No, it just feels off that Conan doesn't kill the villain. It's because Conan typically kills the bad guy. He's Conan the Barbarian, for heaven's sake. He's a barbarian. He's not civilized to a large extent.
Yeah, they should have handed the reins over to Kevin Sorbo.
As executive producer or something.
Yeah.
Or John Milius. Get him to executive produce the TV series or the cartoon or both, because he had a clear vision and would have made sure there was no nonsense of this sort for these adaptations, because hopefully episode 4 will be better. But don't forget to smash that like and that subscribe button as though you were Conan smashing his enemies.